All right, Nick, let's talk about the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle on a roll right now, looking really, really good. I think this team has made some really great moves this offseason to make the team even better. But one move in particular kind of came out of nowhere, is taking the league by storm. We'll get into that in just 1 second here. But first, I'm Andrew, that's Nick, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, Nick, as I alluded to, Seahawks looking really good, but they've made one move that has been very surprising to a lot of people, looking really great, and that's none other than fifth round wide receiver Tory Horton from Colorado State. This guy has been fantastic for the Seahawks, looking like a really big time steal here. Let's get into some comments that were made about Horton before this past Thursday's game, and then we'll get in some data, including this week's game, just how good he is so far this season. So, first up, we have our article from 12th Man Rising. It says this Kubiak on Tory Horton, talking about who he is in the offense and kind of comparing him to someone a little bit surprising here. Says, yeah, I'm not going to say his name, but he has a really solid start to the season, Kubiak said per Seattle Times reporter Bob Condata, initially reserving Justin Jefferson's name, saying, I'm proud of Tory Horton, not surprised with just the kind of kid that he is, the way his parents raised him. He has a great attitude. He's all about work. He studies hard. He has some great role models in that room. It's a long season to go. No need for Tory to get a big head, and he knows that's why he's here. He's just got special character trait to him in that regard, so just keep pushing forward. Kubiak was asked about specific traits of the player he was comparing Horton to, and finally Kubiak budged and said, okay, well, Justin Jefferson was in Minnesota, Kubiak said, and he was a really good rookie. That's rare air. So he's got a long way to go to get there, though. So Kubiak asking, when asked about who is Tory Horton reminding him of, Kubiak obviously in Minnesota at that time in Justin Jefferson's rookie season, saying he's got, the makings of the next Justin Jefferson X player, obviously putting a lot of stipulations, not trying to blow the guy's head up, but I think that's a pretty good compliment of a very well offensively minded coach here, saying this could be a Justin Jefferson esque player. But let's get into some of the statistics just to see how good Tory Horton has been first. So, first up, we have our graph Tory Horton versus his compatriots, the other guys in this wide receiver room here. And what is one thing that the Seahawks kind of were worried about this offseason with the loss of DK Metcalf? Can we get another big play threat in here? Can we have a guy that can do some big time damage in that department? And we look average depth of target, how far down the field these guys are when they're getting the ball. Tory Horton is doing really great amongst the other two starting receivers for the Seahawks in JSN and Cooper Kupp. Horton 16.7 yards average depth of target here. JSN is 12.7 yards average depth of target, and Cooper Kupp, obviously the more shorter range slot guy, 6.6 average dex per target there for him. And then another interesting fact I think we like on this channel a lot is NFL passer rating when these guys are targeted. How good are they? How good are they making their quarterbacks look? Tory Horton is right up there with JSN. So we see Horton 122.5 passer rating when targeted. JSN 127.5, and Cooper Kupp 81. All good, but JSN obviously fantastic. We knew that. Tory Horton right on his heels, a guy that when you target him, doing really, really good stuff. But let's not just limit him to being compared to the guys on his team. Let's see how he stacks up amongst the rest of the league. That leads me to our next one. Let's see him versus some other rookie receivers. How does he rank? He ranks pretty well, especially when you see him scoring. How is he touchdown wise? And he is second in the NFL of rookie wide receivers in touchdowns, just behind Emeka Ibuka. So Tory Horton doing a great job getting into the red zone, the end zone, not the red zone, converting those catches into touchdowns already. Really, really great job. And I think the key here is you see Emeka Ibuka has 3 touchdowns, but he has 14 receptions, where Tory Horton has 6 catches for 2 touchdowns already. So Really, really good stuff for Horton to start out here. But finally, let's not just limit him to rookies. Let's look at the entire NFL, all the wide receivers here, and we can see now this is the all the receivers in the NFL who has the best average depth of target. And you can see Tory Horton here. He's number 7 amongst all receivers in the NFL. So top 10. This guy's doing really great stuff early on. I think they found a deep threat. I think they found a guy who can get in the end zone. And plays pretty good on special teams too. We all saw that punt return for a touchdown. Tory Horton seems like an absolute monster for this Seahawks team. A big time steal with that 5th round draft selection. A lot of people saw injury concerns, didn't want to touch him. Seattle thought they saw something special in Horton. We're starting to see that come out on the field now very early on. I'm excited about Horton, and I think Seahawks fans should be as well. Curious what your thoughts are, Nick. But first, Seattle fans, in the comment section below, talking about big play threats. And when I think of Seattle, I think there's been a lot of great ones throughout history. A lot of names pop up into my head, but let us know in the comments below, what is your favorite big play threat from Seattle of all time in the comment section below. But before we get to you, Nick, let's hear a quick word from the sponsor of today's video.
I wanted to take a break from today's video to talk about what I think is a big problem affecting me and millions of football fans right now, and that is the problem of not having enough time. Look, we all have work obligations, we all have family obligations, we're gonna watch the games. That leaves barely any time for food, and of course, we all need to eat. In fact, we had our brightest numbers guys break this down and come up with this great chart. We know viewers of this channel love our data, love our charts, and here's one right here. Look, work in blue, gotta have jobs, gotta get paid. Family in red, there's going to be family stuff, always going to be, that's important. And there will be a cold day in hell where that gold slice, the football slice, where that drops at all. I'm going to watch the games. That leaves just that little green slice for food right there. Not a lot of time for food. And guess what, guys? That's where today's sponsor, Chomps, comes in. Great snack here. Very, very tasty. I love them. And 100 calories, right? 10 grams of protein, 0 grams of sugar. It checks every single box for a tasty snack, whether you're on the go or just need to find more time in your day. There's a link in the description. Make sure you click on it to learn more about Chomps. And in the comment section below, let us know what flavor you're excited about or what flavor you love. Again, these guys, I love. I've had a couple flavors from them. Their barbecue flavor to me is the best, but they're pretty good across the board. Again, 100 calories, 10 grams of protein, 0 grams of sugar. Check out the link in the description below to learn more. We're talking Chomps, a great snack to get you through the season.
All right, Nick, now let's hear your thoughts on everything Seattle here.
So obviously the Seahawks are playing good football, and there's a lot of attention on what Mike Macdonald has done defensively. He's done an outstanding job. If you're looking for further proof that he knows what he's doing defensively, look at how the Baltimore Ravens have fallen off defensively since his departure and how Seattle's defense has stepped up. That's a clue right there, of course, speaking how good Coach Macdonald is doing. And a lot of credit has to be given to the Seattle Seahawks front office with what they've done. And the coaching staff, too, Kubiak deserves credit, with Sam Darnold, right? A lot of people said massive drop-off. You're going to go from Geno Smith to Sam Darnold. There's a lot of people that said that the Raiders fleeced the Seattle Seahawks. We said at the time that the Seattle Seahawks were making a smart move for the future, undeniably so. And there were some question marks about the present. At least that's what I was saying with Darnold over Geno Smith. Turns out I was 100% wrong. The Seattle Seahawks made a smart move for the future and a great move for the present. So a double whammy there. But when it comes to Horton as a 5th round selection, I think we're looking at one of the biggest steals of the NFL draft coming into fruition here right in front of our eyes. Because it's not just the fact they got him in the 5th round, right? Obviously, that's a massive value there. And that by itself would be one of the bigger moves of the entire NFL draft through the short part of the NFL season up to this point. But considering the wide receiver position that the Seattle Seahawks found themselves in over the course of the offseason, right? They traded DK Metcalf. They picked up a 2nd round pick and a bunch of other mid to late round picks into their fold. And so they basically were looking to retool the roster. They brought in Cooper Kupp. Obviously, JSN is going to be the star at receiver. Cooper Kupp, I don't want to say he's washed up, but he's far past his prime. He can still get it done. He's still a capable receiver, but nowhere nearly close to a level of being a star player, an elite playmaker like he was earlier with the Los Angeles Rams. But Horton has stepped up right away and provided an incredible amount of value. And that's the key word when it comes to Horton, both now and in the future. So if you look at the contract situation, because we live in a salary cap world, right, in the National Football League, it's one thing to have good players, but you got to get them at the right price. You can have an all-pro wide receiver, but if you're paying him 3 times over market, it's going to hurt your team overall because you're going to have sacrifices at other parts of your roster. So not only did the Seattle Seahawks draft Horton in the 5th round, which of course is a great find in terms of draft capital, but if you just look at the value and you look at the contract, for example, that the Steelers signed DK Metcalf to, and look at Horton's situation with Seattle, and I'm not saying Horton is as good as Metcalf is or as good as he was or will be. I'm just saying he's already a big-time playmaker. And if you look at the life of the deals that both players, Metcalf and Horton, are currently on, per overthecap.com, Horton costs as much in terms of salary cap hit over an entire season over the course of his rookie deal. He will cost the Seattle Seahawks as much over an entire season as DK Metcalf will cost the Pittsburgh Steelers every single game. I'm going to say that one more time just to make sure people miss that. Horton will cost the Seattle Seahawks in salary cap hit over the course of an entire season, 17 games, the same amount roughly that DK Metcalf will cost the Steelers every single Sunday. That's value, guys. That's a steal, right? It's one thing to get a great player in the later parts of the draft, right? That's obviously a great find, and those are steals too. But the real definition of a steal is getting a player whose value created for your team so far outweighs the cost to his team and the potential of what it would cost to get that from another player. And Horton checks every single box. You talk about special teams. You talk about being a wide receiver and playmaker. You know, we did a film review of Elijah Arroyo. If anyone hasn't seen it, go check it out. We posted it on Friday evening. But when I was looking through Arroyo's film, I tell you what, Horton just stands out, right? Just a playmaker, gets the ball in his hands. He can do things, right? But he's also a team guy. He runs good routes. That's one of the reasons why the offensive coordinator really likes him, right? He's not just one of these athletes. They say, listen, he's good with the ball in his hands. We just got to feed him the rock. He's a good football player through and through. You talk about a great find. He came up a couple of weeks ago. You first brought him to my attention saying, listen, man, this guy's doing great things. And I was like, okay, well, I mean, we'll see how he does. And he just keeps getting better and better. So look, I think I know a lot of people look at other big name rookies and look at Egbuka for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's everyone's media darling right now. And I get it. He's playing great for Tampa, undeniably so. But I think Tory Horton right now is one of the best rookie wide receivers in the entire NFL. And he's got a real chance, especially if the Seahawks play well, there's being the offensive rookie of the year. I really mean that. Like, he is doing a phenomenal job for the Seahawks offense. And because of that, along with Sam Darnold and, of course, JSN's emergence and what Kubiak has done, this Seattle squad is a serious threat to contend, not just in the NFC West, but in the entire NFC the entire year.
Yeah, Nick, and I think when they did lose Metcalf, people were like, this is a weak wide receiver room now. JSN can't really, like you alluded to, Cooper Kupp on, let's not say that he's washed up quite yet, but he's definitely way far away from that Triple Crown season that he has. We're not talking about the same Cooper Kupp. JSN, he's young. Can he prove himself to be a true superstar? Can he carry this team on his back? Then we got a 5th-round guy filling in. Like, what is going on? Now we see this Seattle wide receiver corps. They look really, really strong. Like, one of the better receiving groups in the NFL right now. Tory Horton is doing a great job. And just quick comparison on stats, give people what they want. Let's compare DK Metcalf to Tory Horton in a couple of metrics that we went over here just to see how they stack up for this season. Was this, very early on, we can't make any decisions yet, but was the swap, so to speak, for DK Metcalf to Tory Horton worth it? And we see DK Metcalf this year already 2 touchdowns for him on 10 catches. Tory Horton got 2 touchdowns on 6 catches, so beating him a little bit in that category. I think, we look at his average depth of target with Pittsburgh here versus Tory Horton. We said Tory Horton 16.7. DK Metcalf, on the other hand, 7.9 average depth of target. Not getting down the field quite as much with that Steelers team. I think there's something to be said about that as well. Then on top of that, one other thing, yards per reception, factor that in after the catch. Are they doing things? And I think DK Metcalf pulls ahead slightly here, 13.5 yards per reception, but Tory Horton is right on his heels, doing a really great job at 12.3 yards per reception. So doing admirably in that. And then finally, I think the last one, drops. That's something that people have been talking about lately. DK Metcalf already has 2 drops on the season. Tory Horton, of course, has 0. So Tory Horton stacks up really well. He looks really good. I think he's, we can't quite call him yet the next DK Metcalf as far as a big play receiver for this team, but he's looking really good. It's someone I'm not worried about. I'm excited to see how he grows rather than saying, is this guy going to do it? I'm saying I can't wait to see what he does do. So like I said, rookie of the year aspirations, offensive rookie of the year, very possible. Tory Horton, big time steal for the Seattle offense.